I want to start today with a scenario that I think is going to sound painfully familiar to a lot of people listening right now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Picture this. You're sitting in a boardroom, the lights are dimmed, there's a projector humming, and someone is presenting the company's new AI strategy.
Oh, I have definitely been in that room.
We all have. And the slide deck is just magnificent. It is full of rocket ship emojis. It has diagrams that look like, spaghetti, words like synergy and transformation in huge fonts.
Mhm.
Everyone nods. It feels exciting. But then the presentation ends, the lights come up, and the CFO leans forward and asks one very simple, very rude question.
Okay, but how does it actually make us money?
Exactly. How does it save us money next quarter?
Yeah.
And that is usually when the room goes dead silent.
The silence is deafening.
It is. Because we've gotten really good at the hype part of AI. We're great at the wow factor. But when it comes to the how, the actual boring, messy mechanics of turning an LLM into a line item on a P&L statement, we are struggling.
It's the classic pilot purgatory. Everyone's running experiments, but nobody is actually moving the needle.
Right. And that brings us to the stack of research we have for today's deep dive. We're looking at a tool that claims to solve exactly this problem. It's from Winning Team AI, and it's called the Strategic Adoption Assistant.
Right.
Now, I have to admit, when I first saw the name, I kind of rolled my eyes a little. Assistant sounds small. But looking at the documentation, they aren't pitching a chatbot. They're not pitching a code generator. They are calling this a control tower.
And that metaphor is really the key to understanding this whole thing. Think about an airport. You can have the fastest jets in the world. That's your AI tech.
Okay.
You can have great pilots. Those are your data scientists. But if you don't have a control tower telling them where to go, when to take off, and how not to crash into each other, you don't have an airport. You just have a very expensive disaster waiting to happen.
I love that image because right now, most companies feel like an airfield with no radio contact, just random pilots doing barrel rolls. So our mission today is to figure out if this tool is the real deal. Can it actually take us from, random acts of AI to a structured business strategy? I'm going to play the skeptical executive today. I'm holding the budget. I'm tired of buzzwords. I want ROI.
And I'll walk you through the logic of the system, because what's interesting is that this isn't just a project management tool. It's built on 4 specific pillars that kind of mirror the whole life cycle of adoption.
Okay, let's get into it. The first question that keeps me up at night is simple. Everyone tells me I need to be doing AI, but are we actually ready? Or are we just going to throw $1 million at a wall and watch it slide off?
That is the billion-dollar question. And usually when executives ask, are we ready? They're kind of asking the wrong question. They think they're asking, is our data clean?
Well, isn't that the most important thing? Garbage in, garbage out.
It is important, but it's only a fraction of the problem. You can have pristine data, but if your employees are terrified of the technology, you will fail. And that brings us to the first pillar of the tool, the AI Readiness and Maturity Scanner.
Scanner sounds very sci-fi. Is it just pinging my servers or something?
No, and this is where it gets interesting. It's an interactive assessment that forces you to look at 4 distinct silos. Yes, it looks at data and tooling security, accessibility, cloud infrastructure. That's the baseline.
Sure.
But then it pivots to the human side. It evaluates people and skills.
Meaning what? Like, do we have PhDs on staff?
Not just that. It measures the comfort level of the general staff. Are your marketing people curious or are they resistant? Then it looks at processes and governance. Do you have guardrails? Do people know what they're allowed to do?
Okay.
And finally, and I think this is the most critical one, it scores culture and leadership.
That feels a bit abstract for a software tool. How do you score culture?
It asks very pointed questions about behavior. For example, is the leadership team actually modeling the usage of AI, or are they just sending memos telling everyone else to use it?
Oof. That hits close to home. I know plenty of CEOs who give these big speeches about the AI revolution and then have their executive assistant print out their emails because they don't like reading on screens.
Exactly. And if you have that disconnect, your readiness score tanks. The tool gives you an AI readiness score and then places you on a maturity model, moving from exploring to piloting, scaling, and optimizing.
So the reality check.
It's a mirror. It stops you from lying to yourself. If the scanner says you are in the exploring phase with low governance, and you try to launch a customer-facing automated support agent, well, you are going to have a PR disaster
And the tool flags that disconnect before you spend the money.
before you spend a dime.
Okay, I can see the value in that. It prevents me from trying to run a marathon when I haven't even bought running shoes yet. But let's say we pass the test. We're ready. My data is good. My culture is okay. My next problem as an executive is what I call shiny object syndrome.
The let's do everything at once phase.
Exactly. I have marketing wanting an image generator for social media. HR wants an interview bot. Engineering is building something terrifying in the basement. It's total fragmentation. How does a control tower fix that? Does it just tell everyone no?
You can't just say no because then people go into the shadows and do it anyway.
Good point.
You have to filter the noise. And this is the second pillar, the use case discovery and prioritization engine.
A prioritization engine. That sounds like fancy corporate speak for a list.
It is a list, but it's a weighted, intelligent list. The source material describes a case study that matches your situation perfectly. It's a mid-sized manufacturer, about 500 employees. They were in the chaos phase.
Paint me a picture. What did their chaos look like?
It was the Wild West. You had operations trying to use predictive maintenance prompts on their own personal accounts. You had finance pasting sensitive spreadsheets into public chatbots to get formula help.
Wait. Finance data in a public model? I just felt a physical shiver go down my spine.
It happens way more than you think. And then you had HR dabbling with AI job descriptions. But leadership had zero unified view.
Good
They had
evening.
9 or
I've
10
reviewed the
different pilots
executive
running,
summary
and
for
none of them were
Reiskievel's
talking to each
repeatable
other.
experimental
So how
report.
did they use the engine
The
to fix that?
95% training pass
The
rates
tool
suggest
uses
strong
guided
cultural
prompts
buy-in
tailored
and
to specific
foundational
functions.
literacy,
So it
which
asks
is
the
a
finance
solid
team
foundation.
specific questions to
However, the
extract their
mention of
ideas.
a significant
Then, it takes all
execution
those
challenge
ideas,
merits
those 9
immediate
experiments,
attention.
and scores
Let's
them based on
synthesize
4
the
metrics:
adoption trend.
impact, feasibility, risk, and time to value.
Time to value. That is my love language.
It should be. In AI, projects can drag on forever. This engine forces the team to answer, when does this actually pay off?
So what happened to the manufacturer? Do they keep doing all 9 things?
No, the engine helped them ruthlessly cut it down to 3. They focused on predictive maintenance to reduce machine downtime, demand forecasting, and AI-assisted quality checks.
And notice what isn't on that list. No funny poem generator, no magic logo maker. Those are hard business problems.
Precisely. Those are things that impact the P&L. And the result? Within 6 weeks, the COO had stopped the random flailing. He had a concrete briefing for the board that said, here are our top 3 priorities. Here is why we chose them. Here is the risk profile. And here is the expected return.
That is a massive shift. That's the difference between having a hobby and having a strategy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put my skeptic hat back on.
Please do.
It's great to have a list of 3 things. But I have a list of things I want to do to my house, fix the roof, paint the garage, and half of them never happen. Execution is where strategies go to die. Who actually does the work? Or does this tool just spit out another PDF that gets emailed to me, I nod, and then I archive it forever?
That is the shelfware problem, and
Yeah.
Winning Team AI seems very aware of that. That leads us to the third pillar, auto-generated AI roadmaps.
Auto-generated roadmap. Okay, unpack that. Is it just a calendar?
It's more operational than a calendar. Once you pick those top 3 priorities, say the predictive maintenance project, the platform generates a quarter-by-quarter plan. It breaks it down into milestones. Here's the experiment phase, here's the pilot, here's scaling, but crucially, it assigns owner assignments.
Names in box.
Games in boxes with dates. Who does what, by when. And it recommends KPIs.
Recommended KPIs. That's actually helpful. Because half the time with AI, we don't even know what to measure. Is it hours saved? Is it compute cost?
The tool suggests the success metrics based on the type of project. And the source mentions you can export these roadmaps directly into slide-ready summaries for steering committees.
Oh, so it solves that presentation problem you mentioned at the start.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend 10 hours making the slide deck. The tool generates the skeleton for you.
Exactly.
Okay, that saves me time. That's a plus. But roadmaps are static. Things change. What happens when we hit a snag? Or what if I look at my readiness score and I see a gap in data governance and I don't even really understand what that implies? I'm an executive, not a data engineer.
And this is the feature that I think is the most interesting differentiator. It's the built-in AI strategy copilot.
An AI to help me manage my AI strategy.
It sounds a little meta, doesn't it? But think of it as a consultant in your pocket. It's an advisor inside the app. Let's say you get that low score in governance. You don't have to go hire a generic consultant to come in and explain it to you for $500 an hour.
Right.
You ask the copilot, what does the score mean and what are the first 3 steps to fix it?
Can it help me explain it to the board? Because my board members are smart people, but they are not machine learning engineers.
Yes. The source specifically
Good
mentions
evening.
that it can
I've reviewed
translate
the
AI
executive
speak into
summary for
language
Reisgievel's
executives
repeatable
understand.
experimental
Goodness.
report.
If I hear
The
large
95%
language
training
model
pass rates
parameters or
suggest
vector
strong
embedding
cultural
one
buy-in
more
and
time in a strategy
foundational
meeting,
literacy,
I just
which
want to know
is a
if it
solid
works.
foundation.
It bridges
However,
that
the mention
exact
of a
gap. They
significant
can even
execution
brainstorm
challenge merits
change
immediate
management
attention.
ideas. If the
Let's
scanner
synthesize
says
the
your team is
adoption trend.
resistant to change, the Copilot can suggest communication strategies or workshop ideas.
So it's not just a form you fill out. It's an active participant in the planning. It helps me draft the email to the company explaining the new policy.
That's right.
Okay, I'm starting to see the control tower comparison. It's monitoring the status, it's directing the traffic, and it's giving you the weather report. But now I'm going to tighten my skeptical executive hat.
Tightening it up.
How does this make me money? Or save me money? Right now, not in 5 years. I want to talk about cold, hard cash, ROI.
That is a fair question. Let's look at two very different examples from the source material to answer that. One is about making money, the other is about protecting it.
Okay.
First, the making money side. There's a case study about a professional services firm, consultants, advisors, agencies.
Right, how do they use it?
They realized that every time they got a new client, they were starting from scratch. They'd spend weeks trying to figure out if the client was actually ready for an AI implementation. It was inefficient, often non-billable time, and frankly, a bit of a guessing game. So they productized this tool.
Productized it? You mean they sold the assessment itself?
Exactly. They used the Strategic Adoption Assistant as a front-door diagnostic. They would run new clients through the scanner as the very first step. Then they bundled that readiness report into a paid AI strategy starter package.
That is smart. So they turned the sales process, which usually costs money, into a revenue stream.
And it helped them pre-qualify leads. If a client scores terribly on readiness, their data is a swamp, their culture is toxic, maybe you don't sell them $1 million implementation project yet.
Right, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Instead, you sell them the Fix Your Data project first. It accelerated upsells from assessment to execution because they had data to back up their recommendations.
That's a clear line to revenue. You're literally selling the roadmap. But what about internal teams?
Yeah.
You mentioned HR earlier. HR doesn't usually generate revenue directly, but they save us from lawsuits.
Which is a form of ROI. The source details a growing tech company that used the tool specifically for their people and culture teams. They used the scanner to identify gaps in psychological safety.
Psychological safety. Regarding AI. You mean people being afraid the robots are coming for their jobs?
Precisely. And this is a really hard metric to capture usually. You can't see it on a spreadsheet. The scanners showed that people were fearful, not empowered. Now, consider the cost of that fear. When people are afraid, they don't ask for permission, they hide what they are doing. That creates shadow AI risk. Or they don't use the tools at all and your competitors outpace you.
So the ROI here is preventing a data leak because someone was afraid to ask IT for help.
Correct. The roadmap they built wasn't about buying more software. It was about AI for everyday work. They created a centrally managed prompt library for common tasks, emails, reports, job descriptions, and they established clear, acceptable use guidelines.
So people finally knew what they were allowed to do.
Yes. The outcome wasn't a shiny product launch. It was that employees reported higher confidence. They moved from vibes and rumors, which kills productivity, to having a strategy and guardrails.
I think we really underestimate the cost of employees just freezing up because they don't know the rules. Or worse, spending 5 hours on a task that AI could do in 5 minutes, but they're scared to use it because they think they'll get fired.
Absolutely. If your team is using AI in the shadows because they're afraid to ask permission, you have risk. If they're afraid to use it at all, you have stagnation. This tool helped them navigate that human element, which is arguably harder to fix than the technical one.
So we have the reality check to stop us from dreaming, the prioritization to kill the bad ideas, the roadmap to execute, and the ROI cases. But there's one last piece in the outline that caught my eye. The source material refers to this as a living operating system.
Yes. This is the philosophical shift, and this is where winning Team AI is trying to change the behavior of the executive.
It sounds grand, but practically, how is this different from me just hiring a McKinsey or a Deloitte to come in, do a PowerPoint presentation, charge me a fortune, and leave?
That is the fundamental shift.
Yeah.
The old way is the snapshot.
Yeah.
You get an assessment in Q1. It's a static PDF. It sits in a folder. By Q2, the technology has changed. Maybe a new model comes out.
Right.
By Q3, your team has changed. By Q4, nobody even remembers where the file is saved.
Painfully accurate. I have folders full of strategic plans from 2022 that are basically digital fossils now.
This tool uses account profiles and continuous tracking. You can save multiple assessments, maybe one for the Europe team, one for North America, one for marketing, one for engineering. But crucially, you track progress over time.
So I can actually see if that culture score is going up.
Exactly. It becomes a historical record of your decisions and pivots. It's not a snapshot, it's a movie. The expert source calls it an ongoing operating system for AI adoption.
That distinction really matters because AI changes so fast. The model we use today might be obsolete in 6 months. If our strategy is locked into PDF, we're dead in the water.
You are.
We need to be able to pivot without starting from scratch every single time.
Right. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, think about how companies manage finances. You don't just look at your bank account once a year. You have an operating system, an ERP, accounting software that tracks it daily.
You have dashboards.
Exactly. Why would we treat the most transformative technology of our lifetime with less rigor than we treat our petty cash?
Oof. That is a solid point. We treat AI like a science fair project, not a business function. We throw some money at it and just hope something cool happens.
And that is really the gap this strategic adoption assistant targets. There are a million tools to help you do the work, to write the code, generate the image, but there are very few tools to help you orchestrate the transformation.
Orchestrate, that's the word. It feels less like magic and more like management. And honestly, as an executive, I don't want magic. Magic is unpredictable. I want management.
It gives the executive clear visibility, it gives the manager a realistic timeline, and it gives the team practical actions. It aligns the entire...
Well, you have managed to lower my blood pressure a little bit. As a skeptical executive, I appreciate anything that kills the hype and focuses on the boring, messy work of actually getting things done.
Sometimes the boring stuff is where the real value lives. Infrastructure isn't sexy, but you can't build a skyscraper without it.
Ain't that the truth? So let's wrap this up. We've gone from the sleepless nights of how do we even use this to a structured 4-step process. Assess, prioritize, roadmap, and track.
That's the journey.
And for the listeners out there, whether you are the one holding the budget or the one trying to convince your boss to approve a pilot, I think the takeaway is clear. Stop doing random pilots. Stop hiding in the shadows. You need a control tower.
You need to know where you are flying before you take off.
Here is a final thought for you to chew on as you go about your day. We talked about how fast this technology moves. If your organization's AI strategy is currently locked in a static document that hasn't been opened since 6 months ago, ask yourself, is that actually a strategy or is it just history?
That is a scary question to end on.
The future belongs to those who treat adoption as a living, measurable process, not a one-time slide deck. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Stay curious.